The first time I met Jonathan Cross, I was 9 years old. He was 34. Neither of us remembered. The second time, I entered his private elevator carrying a wet coat, a broken umbrella, and enough anger to criticize a billionaire before I knew his name. For 10 days, I had believed that was the beginning. It was not. The transcript lay across my lap beside my mother's hospital bed. A child's voice. My voice. I know the gray-eyed man. Where did you see him? In the room where they make people forget. I read the words again. Then once more. Nothing returned. No complete image. No sound. Only fragments. White tile. A purple crayon. A man kneeling near a hospital bed. Gray eyes. Blood near his hairline. My mother slept beside me after surgery, one hand resting over the blanket above the incision. The room was dark except for the monitor and the city light entering through the blinds. My father had gone home to shower. Hannah was with Lily. Ryan was checking the house. For the first time in days, no one needed me to make a decision. That should have felt like rest. Instead, it left space for memory. I closed my eyes. White tile. Purple crayon. Gray eyes. Then fear. Not a story. Not even a scene. A feeling inside my chest. Someone had told me not to say my last name. I opened my eyes. My pulse was fast. The monitor beside Mom continued its steady rhythm. I checked the secure phone. No message from Jonathan. My boundary remained. No direct contact. No letters. No questions through Lila. He had respected it. That should not have mattered as much as it did. At 6:15 the next morning, Naomi entered my mother's room with an independent memory specialist. Dr. Lena Park was a clinical neuropsychologist in her early 40s. She wore no white coat. No hospital badge beyond the temporary federal credential clipped to her sweater. She introduced herself first to Mom, then to me. I am not here to recover a memory, she said. The sentence surprised me. Then why are you here? To prevent people around you from turning uncertainty into one. Naomi stood near the window. Dr. Park placed a thin folder on the table, but did not open it. You have received new information about a childhood event, she continued. Your brain may begin filling gaps using documents, other people's descriptions, and present emotions. You think I might imagine it. I think every human memory is reconstructive. That sounds like a careful way of saying yes. Yes. I appreciated the directness. What do? We separate 3 categories. She lifted one finger. What you remember without prompting. A second. What external evidence shows. A third. What other people remember. We do not combine them until each has been independently recorded. I looked toward Naomi. Is Jonathan doing the same? Yes, she said. With a different clinician. Does he know what I remember? No. Does he know about the purple crayon? Naomi hesitated. He knows it appeared in recovered evidence. What evidence? Dr. Park stopped her. Not yet. I looked between them. There is physical evidence. Yes, Naomi said. And you are withholding it. Temporarily, Dr. Park replied. With a defined purpose and duration. The family rule. No secret without a record. When do I see it? After your independent account is complete. Today. Specific. I nodded. Dr. Park took out a blank digital recorder. No hypnosis. Good. No chemical assistance. Better. No repeated questioning designed to produce detail. Then what do you ask? What you know. She activated the recorder. State your name. Evelyn Rose Hart. Age. 24. What event are we discussing? A possible encounter inside Calder when I was 9. Do you remember entering Calder? No. Do you remember leaving? No. Do you remember Jonathan Cross? I closed my eyes. Not completely. What do you remember without trying to explain it? White tile. Anything else? A purple crayon. Anything else? A man with gray eyes. Anything else? Blood. Where? I do not know. Whose? I do not know. I opened my eyes. Dr. Park did not encourage me to continue. She waited. That restraint helped. I remember someone saying I should not use my last name. Do you remember the voice? No, male or female. Male. Adult or child? Adult. Do you remember the exact words? No, then do. Not create them. I nodded. What did you feel? Cold. Physical temperature or emotion? Both. Anything else? Embarrassed. Why? I do not know. Anything else? I thought I had done something wrong. My throat tightened. What? I had told someone my mother's name. Dr. Park remained still. What was your mother's name? Margaret. Did you believe giving that name caused harm? Yes. Do you know why? No, Mom had awakened. She watched from the bed without speaking. Dr. Park noticed. Mrs. Hart, please do not confirm or correct anything yet. Mom nodded. I continued. I remember a door. What kind? Metal. Color. Maybe gray. Number. No number. My breathing changed. The door with no number. The phrase entered from somewhere deeper than the documents. There was a door with no number. Do you remember seeing it? Yes. Certainty from 1 to 10? 6. Anything written near it? I waited. A shape returned. Not letters. 3 lines scratched into paint. I do not know. Dr. Park asked. What happened near the door? A man told me to run. Which man? The gray-eyed man. Did you know his name? No, did you run? No, why? I closed my eyes again. The memory came as sensation. A heavy sound. Shoes against tile. Someone pulling a cart. I could not leave him. My voice cracked. Dr. Park waited. I saw his hand. Not clearly. Reaching from the floor. 2 red marks inside his arm. The same place Jonathan later showed Voss's injection scar. He was hurt. What injury do you remember? Blood near his head. His arm. Did you touch him? I gave him something. The crayon. Yes. Why? I do not know. Did he write? Yes. What? The answer would not come. Only purple against white. Something about names. Dr. Park asked me to stop. The session had lasted 18 minutes. It felt like hours. My mother's eyes were wet. She had not spoken. Dr. Park turned off the recorder. What did you hear that mashed your own memory? She asked Mom. Mom looked toward me. You came home with purple wax beneath your fingernails. My body became cold. You saw it? Yes. You never told me. I thought it came from school. Anything else? You cried when we tried to wash it away. I stared at my hands. At 9, purple crayon wax beneath my nails had been evidence of something no one knew to question. Mom continued. For months, you would not enter elevators alone. I looked at her. I do not remember that. You took stairs. How long? Until the following spring. Why did you not take me to a doctor? We did. My pulse changed. Who? A hospital counselor. Which hospital? Mom closed her eyes. Calumet County Medical. The hospital above Calder East. Of course. What did the counselor say? That children sometimes develop temporary fears after a parent's medical emergency. Name? I do not remember. Naomi opened a file on her tablet. We found it. She turned the screen toward us. Dr. Catherine Voss. The woman who had helped create Calder. The woman who called my childhood fear a temporary response. The woman who later sent Lily a story about a bird entering a cage. My mother stared. I met her. Yes, Naomi said. She spoke kindly. That was part of her authority. Mom looked toward me. She told us not to ask you about the hospital because repeated questions could strengthen false memories. The language sounded responsible. Inside her control, it became concealment. Catherine did not only erase memory. She taught families not to search for it. What happened during those 6 hours? I asked. Naomi did not answer yet. Dr. Park placed her hand near the closed folder. Your independent account is complete for today. For today. We may revisit only if you choose. I choose now. No, the refusal angered me. She accepted it. You are emotionally activated. Paint. Forensic technicians had uncovered purple wax. Not a drawing. Writing. Names. Margaret. Daniel. Hannah. Ryan. Evelyn. The letters were uneven. Childlike. Beside them, in adult handwriting, Jonathan David Cross. Below both lists, do not let them take the names. My chest tightened. I had written my family. He had written his full name. Together, we had created a record memory treatment could not remove. What else? I asked. Naomi showed another photograph. A purple crayon had been recovered inside an old ventilation grate. Wrapped around it was a strip of hospital fabric. On the fabric, someone had written, YRH, 9-edged, 34th awake Voss ordered second protocol. The handwriting belonged to Michael Cross. Jonathan's father had recorded us. Why were we together? I asked. Naomi looked toward Mom. Then me. The records indicate Catherine scheduled a cross-line stress test. What does that mean? You were an untreated control descendant. Jonathan was an adult subject who had already received a memory suppression compound. She put a child in a room with a drugged man? Yes. My mother's face changed. Not fear. Rage. It was the same quiet rage she used when someone harmed a patient who could not speak for themselves. Why? Mom asked. To measure whether social contact restored suppressed identity. I stared at the wall photograph. Names. We had told each other who we were. The program wanted to know whether human connection could resist chemical erasure. What happened? Naomi opened the next evidence file. A 16mm film reel had been found inside a sealed mechanical housing. Not digital. Not connected to Calder servers. Michael had hidden it. The film had no audio. Its images were damaged. But enough remained. She played it on the tablet. The room appeared in grainy black and white. A 9-year-old girl sat on a hospital bed wearing a school uniform cardigan. Me. My hair was braided. My purple backpack lay on the floor. A man sat against the opposite wall. Jonathan. Younger. Dark hair without silver. Shirt torn near one shoulder. Blood along his temple. His right wrist restrained to a metal rail. He looked disoriented. A woman in a white coat entered. Catherine. She placed a photograph in front of me, then one in front of Jonathan. The frames were too damaged to show the images. Catherine spoke. No audio. She pointed from me to him, from him to me, then left. For several seconds, neither of us moved. I watched my childhood self look toward the door. Jonathan tried to pull his wrist free. The effort made him fall sideways. I climbed from the bed. I approached him. The footage jumped. Then I was holding the purple crayon. I wrote on the wall. Margaret. Jonathan watched. I wrote Daniel. Then Hannah. Ryan. Evelyn. He reached for the crayon with his free hand. He wrote his name. Jonathan David Cross. His hand shook. When he finished, he looked toward me. I touched the words. Then touched my chest. Evelyn. He pointed to himself. Jonathan. Even without sound, I understood. We were repeating our names, not allowing the room to decide who we were. The film jumped again. Jonathan had freed his wrist. Blood marked the rail. He lifted my backpack, took my hand, led me toward the metal door. It did not open. He searched the wall, found the emergency release. Then the film cut. The next surviving section showed Marcus entering with 2 men. Jonathan placed me behind him. At 34, injured and drugged, he still moved between a child and danger. Marcus pointed toward the bed. Jonathan refused. One man grabbed him. The other reached for me. I bit the man's hand. Ryan would have been proud. Jonathan struck the first man with his shoulder. The image shook. Michael entered. He carried the relay key. He opened the door with no number. For one moment, father and son faced each other. Then Catherine appeared behind Michael, a syringe in her hand. The film burned white. The final surviving frame showed Jonathan on the floor. Michael carrying me. My face turned over his shoulder toward Jonathan. My hand extended. Purple crayon still between my fingers. The film ended. No sound. No proof of every word. Enough proof of action. Jonathan had tried to get me out. Calder stopped him, then erased both of us. My mother covered her mouth. I could not move. Naomi turned off the tablet. Jonathan's independent account matched several elements before he saw the footage. What did he remember? Names on a wall. A child with a purple backpack. A door without a number. Marcus entering. Did he remember me? He remembered the name Evelyn. My throat tightened. Anything else? He remembered telling a child that names were harder to steal if 2 people knew them. The sentence returned as feeling, not sound. Something I had carried without language. Can I see his recorded account? Not while your no-contact boundary remains unless you request evidence disclosure through counsel. Evidence is not contact. No, then I request it. Cameron reviewed the release that afternoon. I watched Jonathan's interview in my mother's hospital room. He sat across from a different clinician. No one had told him what I remembered. He described white tile, a child, purple, a metal door. He remembered asking, "What is your name?" He remembered the answer, Evelyn. He remembered not knowing his own full name until she showed him how to list people. She wrote her family, he said. I thought if she could hold 5 names while afraid, I could hold 1. He described writing Jonathan David Cross, then repeating it, not as a title, as an anchor. The clinician asked what he felt toward the child. Responsibility. Why? Because she was there because of adults like me. Did you know why she was there? No. Did you know her family? No. Did you attempt to leave? Yes. Why? She said her mother was upstairs. My eyes closed. I remembered. Not fully. A woman asleep. My mother. I believed if I reached the correct elevator, I could find her. Jonathan continued. She believed the hospital had moved her mother. Did you believe her? Yes. Why? Because she was 9. The clinician asked. What happened at the door? I told her to run when it opened. Did she? No, why? She said I would forget my name. My breath stopped. That was why I stayed. Not childish bravery. A 9-year-old understanding the room better than the adults who built it. If I left, he would be alone. Alone people forgot. Together, we had names. The clinician asked Jonathan, did she know who you were? No. Did you know who she was? No. Did the encounter influence your later feelings toward Evelyn Hart? Jonathan looked toward the floor. I cannot know. Does that frighten you? Yes. Why? Because I want what I feel now to belong to choices we made as adults. My chest tightened. The clinician waited. Jonathan continued. But history influences everyone. The ethical question is not whether influence exists. What is it? Whether I use hidden influence to obtain consent. He looked toward the camera. I did. The interview had occurred after our joint meeting. After he admitted recognizing me in the elevator. He did not use the childhood encounter to excuse his adult choice. At 9, she helped me hold my name, he said. At 24, I withheld hers from her. The words hurt because they were exact. The video ended. My mother looked toward me. What do you feel? Too much. That sounds familiar. I almost smiled. Then the secure phone rang. Dana Brooks. Her voice was controlled. Evelyn, the federal grand jury returned indictments connected to Cross Meridian and Calder. My body became still. Who? Marcus Vale? Catherine Voss? Elias Voss? Martin Keller? Peter Wexler? Several medical and corporate officers. And Jonathan? A pause. Yes. The word entered quietly. What charges? Conspiracy to commit securities and healthcare fraud, false statements to regulators, obstruction of federal oversight, and reckless facilitation of unlawful human subject research. He denied knowing. Knowledge and willful blindness will be litigated. Willful blindness. The government alleges repeated warnings reached his office and that he signed certifications without reviewing underlying evidence. Does the childhood treatment matter? His defense may raise cognitive impairment. Will it work? I cannot answer. Is he being arrested? He has agreed to surrender this afternoon. My mother watched my face. Where? Cross Meridian Tower. Why there? The magistrate approved processing through the federal field office nearby. Mr. Cross requested to meet investigators in the tower lobby. The main doors. No private entrance. He wants the cameras, I said. His attorneys advised a private garage. And he refused. The fall would happen in public, not a spectacle. As record, what happens after surrender? Arraignment. Detention hearing. Will he remain in custody? The government will request secure detention or strict release conditions. Can I attend? Yes. My no-contact boundary did not prevent observing a public proceeding. I looked toward Mom. She understood. Go, she said. You just had surgery. I am not going anywhere. That is the problem. No. Her voice remained weak but steady. The problem is you believe staying beside my bed changes the cancer. The old pattern again. You want to see what happens to him? Yes. Then go. Dad returned as I prepared to leave. He had watched the footage in another room. His face remained wet. He looked at me. I should have found you. You did not know where I was. I signed the papers. Dad, I allowed them into our family. No, you just watch what happened. I watched people use your fear. I gave them the opening. I moved closer. You also spent 15 years working above a lock you helped seal. Without telling you. Yes. That was wrong. Yes. He looked surprised that I agreed. I continued. But I will not let you turn responsibility into self-destruction. What is the difference? Repair leaves you available to other people. Punishment makes everything about your pain. My mother nodded from the bed. Listen to her. Dad looked between us. Then toward the surgical monitor. What does repair look like? Testify. Help identify the systems. Tell Hannah and Ryan everything. Stop deciding what truth we can survive. He nodded slowly. And Jonathan? The question was not about the indictment. It was about me. I do not know. Do you believe him now? About Calder? Yes. About the elevator? Yes. About loving you? The word remained difficult. I believe he cares. That was not my question. My father had learned our style. I do not know whether either of us can name it yet. Dad accepted that. At 2:18, I entered Cross Meridian Tower through the main doors. The lobby had changed since the gala. The Calder victim. Panels remained. The company emblem had been covered by a white evidence wall. Employees moved through temporary security checkpoints. Some looked angry, some frightened, some avoided me. Cross Meridian's market value had fallen more than 60%. Banks froze credit lines. Projects stopped. Thousands of employees feared losing jobs because executives had hidden crimes they never saw. The fall did not land only on the man at the top. That was the problem with towers. When they collapsed, people below carried the debris. Outside, reporters filled the sidewalk. Inside, federal agents waited near the disabled executive elevator. The doors remained open. The car had been locked at lobby level. No one would use it again until the analog Calder chamber beneath it was removed. Jonathan arrived at 2:31. He entered alone. His attorneys followed several steps behind. No federal officer held his arm. He had surrendered voluntarily. He wore a dark suit and the plain charcoal coat from the gala. No tie, no watch, no badge. Employees along the lobby edge watched him. Some had worked for him 20 years. A woman from payroll began crying. A cybersecurity engineer turned away. A maintenance worker stood with his arms folded. Jonathan saw me near the public witness area. He stopped. Our no-contact boundary remained. He did not approach, did not speak. He placed one hand over his chest. Not dramatic. A silent acknowledgement. I did not respond immediately. Then I nodded once. Not forgiveness. Not invitation. Recognition. Federal agents approached. Dana read the surrender acknowledgement. Jonathan handed over his coat, wallet, a temporary identity card. He placed his right hand against the biometric scanner. The same hand Calder had injected. The same hand he used to sign away the company. The machine confirmed his identity. Jonathan David Cross. For most of his life, that name opened doors. Now it entered him into custody. The agents placed handcuffs around his wrists. Reporters outside saw through the glass. Cameras lifted. The lobby went silent. Jonathan looked toward the open executive elevator, then toward the main doors. He chose the doors. The agents walked him through. The lobby where his company once displayed awards, acquisitions, and photographs of buildings. Now the walls carried patient names, worker claims, South Harbor maps. He passed all of them. No one applauded. No one shouted. The silence was heavier than either. Outside, questions exploded. Mr. Cross, did you know about Calder? Will you plead guilty? Did Evelyn Hart influence your surrender? Are you still a billionaire? Do you regret resigning? Jonathan did not answer. He entered the federal vehicle. The door closed. For the first time since I met him, Jonathan Cross disappeared into a car he did not control. At 4:10, his arraignment began. I watched from the public gallery beside Cameron. Jonathan pleaded not guilty. The government requested detention. Dana argued he possessed vast resources, international contacts, and knowledge of hidden facilities. His attorneys argued he surrendered voluntarily, transferred control, preserved evidence, and had nowhere he intended to flee. The magistrate asked Jonathan whether he would surrender all travel documents and assets necessary to secure release. Yes. Private aircraft access? Surrendered. Corporate transportation? No longer controlled. Personal residences? Available for court restriction. Electronic communication? Accepted. Contact with witnesses? No direct contact unless authorized. The magistrate looked toward the witness list. My name appeared. Evelyn Hart. Jonathan's face changed slightly. No contact. Requested by the government. Requested by Ms. Hart. The judge studied him. You understand violation could result in detention. Yes. The court released him under strict conditions. Home confinement. Electronic monitoring. No access to Cross Meridian systems. No contact with named witnesses. No unsupervised communication with former executives. No transfer of assets. No travel beyond approved medical and legal appointments. But there was a problem. The court rejected his penthouse as a residence. It occupied the top floors of Cross Meridian Tower and remained part of the investigation. His lakefront estate contained company-owned security systems and was also under search. His private properties were frozen. Where will you reside? The judge asked. Jonathan's attorney requested a secured federal medical apartment. The government objected to indefinite public expense. Lila's name could not be used because she was a witness. Victoria was a witness. His parents were patients and witnesses. No family member qualified. Jonathan had spent 20 years acquiring buildings. At the moment, he needed one room, None belonged to him in a usable way. The magistrate granted temporary placement in a monitored residential unit normally used for protected corporate witnesses. 1 bedroom. Government furniture. No staff. No tower. No private elevator. The man above the city had fallen all the way to a borrowed key. Episode 12 waited inside that image. But the day was not finished. After arraignment, the independent Cross Meridian Restructuring Committee announced an emergency financial review. The company could not meet several debt covenants after the stock collapse. Asset sales would begin. Private aircraft, executive residences, media holdings, luxury hospitality properties. The tower itself, Cross Meridian Tower, might be sold. The building carrying Jonathan's name at its foundation could belong to someone else within months. Employees protested outside. Not for Jonathan. For jobs. Warehouse drivers. Hospital billing staff. Engineers. Administrative assistants. People who had never heard the word Calder until the news reached them. They wanted salaries protected from restitution claims and investor panic. Mrs. Delgado called me at 6. People are blaming the neighborhood. For what? Cross Meridian layoffs. The story had turned again. Online posts claimed South Harbor residents destroyed a major employer. Calder patients were described as opportunists seeking lifelong payments. Medical care restitution became a handout. Returning land became theft from investors. Power had lost control of the legal structure. It still controlled many narratives. We need a public statement, I said. No, Mrs. Delgado surprised me. We need payroll protection. A statement would not feed employees. The restitution trust required executives and investors to absorb losses before ordinary workers, but the company's debt structure threatened everyone. Cameron joined the call. We can request an emergency employee priority order. Paid before shareholder distributions? I asked. Yes. What about bonuses? Frozen? Executive pensions? Potential source. Jonathan's deferred compensation plan contained hundreds of millions. He had already waived severance. The trust could redirect the rest toward employee continuity. But under home confinement, he had no operational authority. His personal consent might still be required for certain benefits. No direct contact with witnesses, including me. The request moved through attorneys. At 8:20, Jonathan signed the employee priority assignment. He redirected his remaining deferred compensation and company retirement benefits into a protected payroll fund. No public statement. No message attached. The fund would cover approximately 6 weeks of wages for vulnerable employees if restructuring disrupted payroll. Not salvation. Time. The same resource my father had never received after his injury. Time to make choices without a threat at the table. At 9:03, my mother called from the hospital. You should come back. Did something happen? No, then why? Because I miss you. The simplicity stopped me. No emergency. No medical alarm. No obligation disguised as crisis. My mother wanted me near. I returned. She was awake when I entered. Dad slept in the chair. Hannah had left. The room was quiet. Mom looked at my face. He was released? Home confinement. Where is home? A monitored apartment. She nodded. The man without the tower. Yes. Do you feel sorry for him? Yes. Are you angry? Yes. Do you love him? I placed my bag down. You are recovering from surgery. That is not an answer. I sat beside her. I do not know what love means after 11 days and 15 stolen years. That sounds like no. No, I looked toward the window. It sounds like I care enough to be afraid of the answer. Mom's expression softened. That is closer. He tried to protect me when I was 9. Yes. He used me when I was 24. Yes. He surrendered. Yes. He lied. By omission. Yes. He told the truth when it cost him. Yes. He may go to prison. Yes. Do you have any advice that is not one word? She smiled. Do not make the verdict your love story. I looked at her. He can be acquitted and still have harmed you. He can be convicted and still have changed. The distinction mattered. Let the court decide charges, she continued. You decide access. Access. To my time. My trust. My future. Not guilt. Not innocence. The door I controlled. My secure phone remained silent because Jonathan was legally prohibited from contacting me. For the first time since our elevator stalled, no new message could arrive from him. The silence felt different now. Not hidden information. A boundary enforced from outside both of us. I wondered what he was doing inside the monitored apartment. No staff, no company phone, no control screen, no one waiting for instructions. Perhaps he was sitting in a room where nothing responded to his name. At 10:18, Dana sent a new evidence notice. The original film from room C7 contained one damaged section technicians had restored. Audio had survived beneath the visual burn. I put on headphones. The recording began with static. Then Marcus, move the girl. Jonathan's younger voice answered. No, you are not thinking clearly. I am thinking clearly for the first time tonight. You do not know who she is. She is a child. She is a control subject. She has a name. A struggle. Metal. Catherine's voice. Jonathan, release her. No, you signed the program. I signed volunteer monitoring. You signed continuity. Not this. Marcus again. If you expose Calder, your mother loses treatment. Jonathan's breathing changed. You said she was dead. A pause. Then Catherine, not yet. That was the moment he learned his mother was alive. 15 years earlier. Before they erased it. Jonathan said, where is she? Marcus answered, safe while you cooperate. The first leverage. The original cage. A child's voice entered. Mine. Do not believe him. Silence. Marcus asked, what did she say? Jonathan replied, she said you lie. My childhood voice again. If his mother is here, she has a name too. The audio shook. Then Jonathan, what is it? Catherine spoke sharply. Stop. Jonathan shouted, what is my mother's name? I answered, not because I knew. Because someone had shown me a file. Eleanor. Jonathan repeated it. Eleanor. He said the name again. Marcus ordered the injection. Michael entered. He shouted for Jonathan to remember the red ledger. Then a crash. The recording ended with Jonathan's voice. Not shouting now. Speaking to me. Evelyn, if they make you forget, find the number. I answered, what number? 82. The audio stopped. My body became cold. Jonathan had given me the number 15 years earlier. Not consciously. Not in the elevator. Before Calder erased us. 82 remained somewhere inside me. That was why the unsupported figure had disturbed me so deeply. Why I could not leave it alone. The number was not only analytical inconsistency. It was a memory fragment waiting inside a spreadsheet. Jonathan told me to find it. I had. 15 years later. The discovery did not make the adult deception disappear. It added another truth. At 34, he trusted a child to carry what he might forget. At 49, he did not trust the adult she became with the knowledge she deserved. The fall between those two men was not one moment. It was 15 years of logistics contract. What if the initial capital came from stolen worker settlements? Medical research funds? Money routed through the South Shore Worker Relief Fund? The company's first mile might have been financed by people it later displaced. What happens if that is true? I asked. Dana answered carefully. Ownership claims become complicated. How complicated? Potentially foundational. The word fit. The hidden page was not inside the tower. It was beneath the company before the tower existed. The original warehouse. The place Marcus lured us during Phase 4. Federal agents had searched the chamber. They found the transfer console. Not the page. Maybe because we misunderstood the location again. Under the company before it becomes a tower. The Cross Logistics emblem had been moved when the original warehouse lobby was renovated. The floor beneath Jonathan's name may not mean the current floor. It may mean the first place the emblem had ever been installed. Rosa Alvarez would know. I called Dana back. Where was the original Cross Logistics emblem before the warehouse renovation? A pause. We will ask. Ask Rosa. 20 minutes later, Rosa Alvarez answered from her apartment. The emblem was not made for the warehouse. Where did it come from? An old union hall. Which union? South Shore Fabrication Workers Local 318. My pulse changed. The first cross emblem had been cut from a larger metal sign donated by the union after the plant closure. Jonathan believed it symbolized working-class origins. The metal had once hung above the Union Relief Office at St. Bridget's. Before the warehouse. Before Cross Logistics. Before the tower. Where is the rest of the sign? I asked. Rosa became quiet. Daniel Hart has it. My father woke when I said his name. He looked toward me. What? Do you have part of the original cross emblem? His face changed. My mother opened her eyes. Dad looked toward the hospital door. Then back to me. In the garage. Where? Inside the old workbench. Why? Thomas gave it to me after the Union Hall closed. Did you know something was hidden inside? No, the answer came too quickly. I stared. Dad. He looked toward Mom. Then down. Thomas said not to open it until Cross Meridian fell. The room became silent. He told you that? Yes. When? 8 years ago. Before he died. You kept another secret. Yes. Why? Because the company had not fallen. I almost shouted. Then stopped. The instruction had become a moral excuse. Wait for the right moment. Protect the page. Protect the family. Silence until conditions improve. 8 years. Did you open it after Jonathan resigned? No. After Catherine was arrested? No. After the tower was searched? No. Why? Dad's eyes filled. Because I was afraid of what it would say. The most honest answer. Not protection. Fear. What do you think is inside? That our settlement funded the company. What else? He looked toward my mother. That Michael gave workers ownership. My breath stopped. Ownership of what? Cross Logistics. The original company. Before mergers. Before acquisitions. Before billions. How much? I do not know. Who are the beneficiaries? Workers injured at South Shore. Their families. My father. Samuel. Possibly us. If Michael created a worker trust and Marcus hid it, then the Cross Empire may have been built using capital legally belonging partly to the people it later harmed. The restitution agreement transferred control voluntarily. The hidden page might show that Jonathan never owned full control in the first place. Why did Thomas give it to you? Because I was Control 9. That is a Calder designation. It was also the 9th trustee signature. The lines connected. Control subjects. Worker trustees. Marcus had taken legitimate relief structures and converted them into research controls. The same names served two systems. One intended to protect workers. One designed to exploit them. When can Ryan reach the garage? I asked. Dad looked at the clock. Now. Dana sent federal agents. Ryan met them. The old workbench sat against the rear wall beside the cabinet covering the manifold compartment. Dad told him which panel to remove. Inside lay a curved section of metal. The original union sign. Old blue paint beneath newer black. On one side, Local 318 Workers Relief. On the other, Cross Logistics. The company emblem had literally been cut from the worker's name. Federal technicians opened the hollow center. Inside was a sealed oilskin envelope. One page. Handwritten. Signed by Michael Cross, Thomas Brennan, Samuel Ortega, Daniel Hart, 8 other workers, and Jonathan David Cross. Dated 14 years earlier. 1 year after the accident. 1 year after Jonathan's memory treatment. The document stated, in recognition that initial Cross Logistics capital was derived from South Shore worker relief reserves, recovered medical settlements, and union-controlled emergency funds, 51% beneficial ownership shall remain in trust for workers, patients, and descendants harmed by South Shore and related programs. 51%. Control. Not charity. Not restitution. Ownership. Jonathan's signature appeared beneath an acknowledgement. I stared at the scanned page. Did he know? I asked Dana. We do not know. The answer no longer surprised me. A note beside his signature had been written by Michael. Jonathan informed in part. Memory unreliable. Trust activates upon public fall of cross control. The fall. Not market decline. Not arrest alone. The end of cross family control. That had happened. The hidden trust was now active. Legally, the page still required authentication. Corporate attorneys would fight it. Shareholders would call it fraudulent. But if valid, the workers and patients did not need Jonathan's generosity to receive a seat at the table. The seat had always been theirs. Hidden. My mother looked toward the scanned signatures. Daniel. Dad could not speak. His name appeared as trustee. He had signed this page willingly. Not under threat. Not blank. He remembered. What did Michael tell you? I asked. That Cross Logistics needed the relief money to survive the acquisition fallout. You agreed? Yes. Why? He promised workers would own the majority. Did you believe him? Yes. What happened? Marcus said the trust failed legal review. And you accepted that? I asked Thomas. He said the original page was safe. You let Jonathan run the company for 14 years without telling him. Dad looked toward the floor. Michael said his memory was unreliable. So you decided for him? Yes. The same mistake. Again. Families choosing silence for someone else's safety. The hidden page might restore ownership to workers. It also proved my father had withheld a truth capable of changing Cross Meridian decades earlier. No one in this story remained clean. Not Jonathan. Not Michael. Not Daniel. Not Victoria. Not Lila. Not even the people trying to protect one another. That was the real fall. Not a billionaire in handcuffs. The collapse of the fantasy that harm belonged to one villain. Marcus and Catherine designed the system. But the system survived because frightened people kept making private decisions about what truth others could handle. At 1:02 in the morning, Dana issued preservation orders over every remaining Cross Meridian asset. The restructuring trust froze major sales. The hidden worker ownership claim would be reviewed. The tower could not be sold. The company could not be broken apart until the page was authenticated. Jonathan remained in the monitor department. He was informed through counsel that the trust might mean he never legally controlled the majority he believed he owned. His response reached Dana. No challenge from me. Authenticated. No attempt to protect his remaining wealth. No request to negotiate with my father. No contact. At 1:30, my mother fell asleep again. Dad remained awake beside her. I stood at the window. Somewhere across Chicago, Jonathan sat without a tower. My father sat beside a wife recovering from cancer and a truth he had delayed 8 years. Workers whose names never appeared on business magazines might own the company that displaced them. The fall had begun with an indictment. It ended with a page proving the empire may have been built upside down from the start. At the bottom of the hidden trust, beneath all 13 signatures, Michael Cross had written one final instruction. When the family loses the tower, return the company to the people who carried it. The next morning, Jonathan Cross would wake inside a one-bedroom monitor department. No staff, no office, no company, no private elevator. And for the first time in his adult life, he would have to discover whether there was a man left after the name stopped opening doors.